Welcome to Contemplative Living, where we view contemplations for the week to have a better understanding of our spiritual paths. This is Contemplative Living with Dave Bennett, contemplations and reflective meditations. Well, welcome to another episode of Contemplative Living, where we talk about concepts to bring contemplative living into everyday life. And today I'd like to read a little something here. Quote, "Well, I believe life is a Zen Quran. That is an unsolvable riddle. But the contemplation of that riddle, even though it cannot be solved, is in itself transformational. And if the contemplation is of high enough quality, you can merge with the divine." And that's by Tom Robbins. Now, we do tend to go about our lives and many times forget to bring contemplation or mindfulness or reflection into our daily lives. But when we do, we bring the divine into our everyday activities. So, let's get started. Cultivate a life in which honesty and being straightforward is the voice you are known for. What are we talking about here? We're talking about authenticity, of connecting to our divine essence, bringing that forward, and then living with truth and honesty. And in our interactions, being straightforward. You know, it's a disservice when we put on, a cloak that we think everyone should, we should look like this, we should appear to others this way or that way. We're not allowing people to see our true self. And when we do that, it's a form of dishonesty. I mean, a very light dishonesty, but it's mostly, we do it for ourselves, for our egos, but it's not necessary. People have a greater respect when they can sense your authenticity, when they can sense that you're being honest and straightforward. That's when things move. That's one of the moving forces in the universe, is living within our own truth. And this is something that really influenced me in my near-death experience in my life review, was when I was being honest and truthful and authentic. People would resonate with that. And so I try to bring that into my life on a daily basis. When we consciously contact the baseline state of our authentic being, we engage the inner forces of transformation and release the habits and conditioning that have been holding us back from the change we seek. Release the habits and conditioning that have been holding us back from the change we seek. That's key. That's key in life. But in order to do that, we have to contact or connect with our state of authentic being. Now, we were talking about authenticity, but where does it come from? It comes from that connection with the divine. That's where our true self, our true nature resides. And when we connect with our true nature, that's when we can bring that into our day-to-day being, and it starts, it's the seed of transformation. And it allows us, when living within our truth and being straightforward, it allows us to release those habits of conditioning. The cloaks I was talking about earlier, we form those as children, as young adults, and as we grow in life, they become a part of who we believe we are. But then when we connect with our divine essence, our true nature, we see that we really don't need those, and we can cast that off and release those old habits and that old conditioning that we've cloaked ourselves in for so long, and that is weighing us down, and that allows us to transform into our authentic self, into our true being as we walk this earth. And that's powerful. That's incredibly powerful. We want to show ourselves as authentic. Two forces, the need to fit in and the need to express oneself, are opposed to each other and create internal division within our psyche. Wholeness is our real nature. So just like we were talking, a lot of times, what are the heaviest cloaks that we put on? The need to fit in. But then we also want to be that unique individual, and we want to express ourselves. And so those two things, trying to fit in, but then being unique and express ourselves, can be at odds, really be at odds. And it sends a confusing message to our heart when our mind is trying to fit in and express itself uniquely. Our heart just gets confused, like, what is it that you really want in life? And that's when we want to step back, because we want to connect to our real nature, our true nature, our authentic self, because that's where we'll find our wholeness. Okay. As our life continues to grow in balance and wholeness, it's natural to want to help those around us to grow in fullness as well. This is a part of the cycle of life, actually, where we grow. When we grow and we evolve, it never fails that the universe is going to provide someone who is needing what we have just learned. And so it behooves us to share that information and to help others and lift them up. And as we do that, and teachers know this, when you are teaching, you're actually reinforcing what you're teaching within yourself. And so by sharing and by lifting someone else up and helping them to grow into fullness, it helps you, and it solidifies what it is you're trying to teach, what it is you're trying to share. Now, sharing is incredibly important in that cycle, the cycle of living our day-to-day lives. As we receive, we also need to give. If we don't, it creates an imbalance. And so we really do need to share. And the universe does this all the time. It constantly brings in the need to share. And how can we share? With the tiniest gesture, a smile, a gentle look, a simple pat on the arm, a soft word. These can change a person's life. It doesn't have to be a grandiose gesture. The simplest things usually connect directly. To connect to someone to heart is the simplest and most efficient way. And I saw this in my life review, where when being honest, we were talking about authenticity and honesty and being straightforward, but doing it with a heart connection. Then those gestures, simple little gestures, and sharing what we've learned along our life's paths really are helpful and beneficial to everyone within our circle. Every situation is made better by love, empathy, and understanding and appreciation. So we want to make our life better. We want to make all of our life situations better. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes we're pulled one way or another, but and we forget. We forget that by using loving intention, by empathically understanding and appreciating who we're interacting with and what we're interacting with, that when we do that, it amplifies our efforts. So we can move those mountains. We can create an amazing life and a world and smooth out those rough circumstances if we bring love and understanding into every situation. So this kind of summarizes what we've been talking about this morning. The authentic part of us wants to express its individuality and uniqueness. Our authentic self will allow us to be that individual. The neat thing about our lives here, we come into this life and we feel like we're these separate individuals forging our way through life. And we don't realize that that's false, that we're really interconnected with everyone and everything within this world and within the universe. But the neat thing about feeling that separateness is it allows the divine within us to experience the uniqueness and the individuality that we have in this physical form. So that allows us to explore and to be explorers and to move about in life, expressing that love, expressing that honesty and that straightforwardness, and bringing it about within our life. So I hope you've enjoyed this week's Contemplative Living and that you join us next week. We're always here on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern. And I hope you have a blessed weekend. This is a holiday weekend for many of you. And namaste.